Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hello, I'm John Dickmeyer. Welcome to Potpourri. How are you today, Randy?
I'm wonderful. I'm enjoying this fall weather.
It's wonderful.
It's my favorite season.
And your big boy at home, Mr. Sundance, the dog, how is he doing?
He's rolling in all the leaves. He's enjoying it very much.
Yeah. I guess we have to say something about Sundance. He's what breed?
A Newfoundland.
Big boy.
A big boy, 150 pounds. He's a cuddler.
and there's one other thing about him. He goes out to hospitals now.
Mm-hmm. We're part of the visiting dog program, and he loves it. You know, all these people petting on him and loving on him, and it takes an hour. And when we go home, he collapses and he doesn't move the rest of the day. It's very difficult being given attention, you know.
Our guest today is a return guest and one of my favorite people, Shane Grantham. Welcome, Shane.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Randy. I enjoy being here every time.
He has a beagle.
I know, Duke.
Duke.
The beagle.
Yes.
He's not 150 pounds.
No.
He'd like to be if he kept eating.
And could reasonably do that, I imagine. Today our topic is one that I think is very, very relevant for the end of the year kind of activities. And we're actually going to talk about computers and things that can happen to you on computers, identity theft and other nasty things that can happen. And the reason that we're talking about that today is that the end of the year is the largest, the most important part of the year for buying online. Mm-hmm. So you folks are going to be using your phones and your tablets and your computers to buy stuff. And we just don't want you to get zapped. So Shane, let's start out by talking about maybe the worst kind of things that can happen to you when you're online, like awful viruses. How do you get a virus?
Well, the one thing that happens if you don't have proper protection on your computer, but the way you can get one, you're asking me specifically, if you go to a website that has got a payload on it that can actually jump onto your computer, you can get them that way. Even a website that's a known one, you know, a popular website, things like that. Email, you can get viruses through email. The one thing I like to stress to people is if they've got a Windows operating system like Windows 7 or 8, make sure that your operating system's patched. You want to make sure you've got the latest security programs on it, or the patches, service packs. And so that's probably the biggest way you can get infected if you're not patched that way. There's other things we can talk about too. But
Patched meaning protected.
well, Microsoft releases updates to their operating system. They're typically on Tuesdays. They'll release a patch, and Windows Update Service is running on most people's computers, or it should be if you're a Windows user, and it will automatically push out to your computer. You'll see the updates installing, and it will ask you to update. So you need to. It's a boring thing to talk about, but it's very important to keep that updated.
Okay.
And the other things you need to keep updated are things like Adobe Reader, Real-Time Player, Java. You'll see that pop up on your computer a lot of times. And those are all what they're called secondary programs that are running in the background to help you do your things on your computer. Those need to be updated too, or are kept updated.
What about other operating systems that are out there? For example, Apple. How do you feel about Apple?
I like Apple computers, Macintoshes. I think they're safer than Windows computers, Microsoft Windows computers, even though I do mostly work on Microsoft Windows operating systems. But I think the Apple operating system is safer. And the other thing for Windows computers, you definitely need virus protection or security programs, something to watch for malicious software coming in, because it can come in different ways.
So if you have that set up on your computer, Shane, as long as nothing pops up you need to update it, it's okay. You don't have to go in and do anything to it. You can just leave it alone and it'll always be there.
You mean your virus protection?
Yes.
Yeah. I still tell all my clients, customers, that they should still open up their Norton, McAfee, Komodo, whatever they're using, and just check it to make sure it is current with latest signatures or virus definitions.
And how can they tell if it's current?
Some of them will have a red icon and turns green when it's okay. Some of them will be yellow when they're in the caution state, but if it's green, it's usually good. But I still think it's a good idea to open it up, click on the icon for whatever virus program you're using, and just look at it. Have your computer person help you with it, or you figure it out yourself. See if the latest signature's on there and that it's being updated. Most of them will do it automatically anymore, to answer your question, but I still think it's a good idea to just check it. It's like checking the oil in your car. You got a light or a warning system, but still it's a good idea just to check under the hood.
How about Android operating systems? Do I need a virus protection on those?
I think it's a good idea. There's several out there that you can download in your Play Store from Google. There's Komodo one, there's Trend Micro, there's Malwarebytes, but I think it's a good idea. I have them on my phones, and it does you can actually do a on-demand scan where it looks through every app to see if there's a problem or if there's anything malicious on there, and it will let you know what. There's even some of them will tell you what the rights of each app are, what they can do on your computer, like tell your location, send photos or whatever. So I think it's a good idea to do that. It would be good. And
they are different, aren't they? The different apps will call different functions.
Right, and report information about what you're doing too, which some people don't want to do. If you're a privacy advocate, you may want to check what your apps are really doing on your phone.
What about, it probably goes along with what he just said with your phone, but like a tablet?
Tablets.
You should put, I have a tablet, Samsung, and I was told you don't need any virus protection. But it just doesn't sound right to me.
Well, I myself have a cheaper tablet, so I don't have one of the nicer ones. My wife has a nice one. It may be something like you've got. I think on hers we did look and we did find something. So I think it's a good idea. It's hard to say because malicious software, viruses, all those things, Trojan horses, in the old days, you could tell maybe they were there just by the activities. A lot of them nowadays, they want to be stealthy and quiet and do their dirty work. You may not even know they're on your device. So I think tablets should have those too.
Well, I thought so. I know on my tablet I won't do any banking or anything like that, but doesn't mean they can still get in there and cause problems.
Right, and along those lines, Wi-Fi networks, you want to be careful if you're on an open Wi-Fi network doing something sensitive like that, because it could be someone's eavesdropping. I don't know how they do it, but somehow they can eavesdrop and maybe get your information off of as it's going across the internet on this Wi-Fi spot. On an open one, it's probably safer to do that someplace that's secure, like maybe your home one or a business one if it's secured.
Well, you have to think of this, folks, that if you have Wi-Fi at home, you may have a whole bunch of devices that operate off of that. You might, for example, I have a streaming player for my TV. I've got a couple printers that operate off the Wi-Fi, and I can do my tablets, and I'm tablet crazy, so I've got a whole bunch of them. I just do.
Because they're cool.
They are.
It's like baseball cards. Look how many I have.
But I will run them down to the point, and a lot of times it's just playing games, but it may be something else. Well, I've got two that I use all the time, and then I've got some that I use for special uses, and one of them has a large screen, and I use it for presentation purposes. So, not everything fits, but they all can access my Wi-Fi network. And, if you can do that in your own home, and you can share information in your own home in a closed environment, imagine what can happen if there are absolutely no strictures to what you're doing, that everything is completely open.
And that leads me to also, if you do have a home Wi-Fi network or a business Wi-Fi network and you're doing business on it, you probably don't want it to be open so that anyone can connect to it, and make sure you have encryption on it, or security on it, I'll say that. In the old days I used to release wireless routers without any security on them because they frustrated people, and they bring them back because they thought they were broke. But now I would think you need to have some security on your Wi-Fi, unless you want people to find it. Some routers now, Wi-Fi routers, you can have a guest network on it that's open, and it's separate from your home or your business network.
And those are common for hospitality businesses like coffee shops and restaurants, that they do that as what would you call it? It's a convenience for people.
Sure, they love to check their email when they're doing whatever, when they're out and about.
So, for me, example, I've got a closed network. Is that
Wi-Fi wireless
okay.
network.
How do I know? Do they automatically come encrypted? How do I know that?
Well, you might have someone that has a device, or maybe one of your own devices, just try to browse for open Wi-Fi networks in your neighborhood, or when you're in your home,
okay,
and see if it finds it, and see if it requests a password or a passphrase to connect to it. That's one way.
Well,
but yours are already set up, so you might have someone that that's never been on your network. See if they can connect to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then it's encrypted.
Right. Well, there's different words for it. There's encryption, and then there's security.
Okay.
I've lost track which one's which, but.
And the reason I ask is, well, you know me. You've got to be very low term for me, but I've talked with people that say, I just don't understand all these words. What does this mean? What does that mean? I don't know if I have it or if I don't have it. And so that's why I'm saying, you know, if you have a router, like my Wi-Fi is password protected. So does that mean it's automatically encrypted?
Most of them nowadays do come encrypted or
Okay.
come secured.
So people don't have to worry about that. I just,
Right.
not long ago, had somebody say, what does the word encrypted mean? And I said, I know that's a good thing. That's all I
Yes,
could tell
I used to
them.
be able to explain it or give you a good definition, but I forgot what it was.
Okay.
The other thing you can do with the Wi-Fi network, if you want to make it a little more hidden, is turn off the broadcast part of it, so it doesn't broadcast the name of the network out. Now they can still connect to it, but it's not like it won't show up in the list of open or networks when someone's got a tablet or a phone or a computer sitting outside your house. They won't see it unless they really know the name of it. So I usually rename Wi-Fi networks with something obscure that doesn't give away the name of the business. Or
Like your name.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. But if it's an open group, open Wi-Fi, you may want that. But if it's something you're doing your business on, you probably don't want other people finding
Right,
it.
right.
There's enough problems without open Wi-Fi networks.
There's another thing I think people ought to know about, and that's, I'll use the fancy name for it, it's the protocol that's used to search for stuff on basic Microsoft networks, and that's HTTP. But there's a better way
Right.
of searching. What is that?
Or you mean the secure website, HTTPS?
Yes.
Yeah, when you're going to a shopping site or something that is supposed to be secured, that should be the URL or the universal resource locator, the website name. That's what everybody calls it. But make sure it's HTTPS : / and whatever. And there should be a little lock up in the corner, and that's a security certificate that's supposed to verify that website, because you can have a spoofed website that looks like the site you think you're on, and that's how they can extract information. So I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. I pay my bills online. So AEP. Somebody made the comment to me, why do you have to have a password with that? I mean, what's the worst thing it can do? Pay your bill?
Well, get your identity probably, or
They can still
Right.
sneak in and get it that way.
I suppose, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
That was
Yeah.
my comment. I said, I'm sure there's a reason other than bill paying, but that was the question that was presented to me.
they
not
could
long
probably
ago.
change your personal information and have your bill go somewhere else, and then that's a can of worms you don't want.
Right.
I
Okay.
think is what would
My response was, I don't know, but I have one. I figure there's something they can do to me, so I'll have one.
The reason for the security, I think, is that you don't want any of your personal information to be taken by someone who will use it for their own gain. And I actually have another program that's coming up where we'll discuss some of that directly, the bad things that can happen when the crooks of this world decide that they want your information and they want to use it in their way. Let's say I'm going out and I'm buying Christmas presents, and I've selected some business, and I've never dealt with that business before, but let me just pull something out of my head. That I'm looking for Kona coffee from Hawaii and a bunch of sites come up, and I browse through and I pick something, and the price looks good and I decide to buy. What are some of the things that I need to look for, and some of the things I need to have in my head before I decide to give them any information like my credit card number, or I decide to pay? And what kind of pay? What are some of the pay options that maybe I ought to consider?
Back to the website name, make sure there's an HTTPS in there when you go to pay for it. If you're just going to do a search, a random search like that, that can be dangerous, because it could take you to a site that's a fake site, like we were talking about, a replica site of a major site, a major buying site. So if you're just looking for an item, that may be a little more dangerous. But if you know the name of the buying site you want to go to, like say it's randysite.com, instead of just searching for that, type in the name of the website directly in your web browser and go to it that way. That would maybe assure you that you're going to actually Randy's site versus a fake site. As far as paying options, now I'm not an expert in banking or any of that, but I've heard that if you use a credit card versus a debit card, that's maybe a little safer, but that's just what I've heard, because they can't drain your bank account as easily if it's a credit card. But I don't myself do a lot of online buying. I will, if I'm going to buy something, I do have a supplier that I go through. It's a major site. I'm not going to say who it is, and I have a rep there, and I work with them over the phone or email that way. But I have bought things in the past. But searching something, if you know the name, I would get maybe an opinion, or there's shopping sites out there that compare a bunch of them at the same ones, like My Simon and some of them like that. I think that's what the name was. But and you can look at all the products under one comparison. So that would be an option also you could try.
What's this PayPal? What is that?
Oh, PayPal. Some places, it started, I think, from eBay, and it's a way to pay for, you have an account with PayPal, and it's a way to pay for your online shopping things without giving out your credit card. They have your credit card, but you don't give it to the shopping sites as you're going around. You pay with a PayPal account. And if you don't have enough in your account, they will let you know, and you have so much time to update or pay your account on PayPal. So it's a safer way to shop or to pay for your goods online.
How do you feel about special accounts? Like, you can go into a store and buy a Visa for $50, a Visa gift account, and use that instead of, say, your regular account.
Yeah, I've never used one, but I do like that idea, because I'm afraid using my credit card, all the things you hear in different major stores or places get hacked, and thousands and millions of records are taken. So that does sound like a good idea. I've never actually used one, though, like that.
I would recommend, though, if you buy one from a store, keep the receipt, because I did that once, and they charged it on theirs. It was a gift, but when the person went to use it, there was a zero balance on it.
Oh.
Luckily, I had the
You could prove
receipt.
it.
But if you don't have the receipt, then you're out that money.
I'm really, really concerned by, let's say, everything goes well, and that's wonderful. But what happens if everything doesn't go well? and then you're infected. What then? And I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. How am I going to know that maybe I have viruses, or what'll happen that'll maybe indicate that?
Generally, your computer may work slower. You may get pop-ups here and there. There's all kinds of different infections, but some of them will, they're called rogue programs, and they'll pop up, and they're infections, and they say that you need to buy this to disinfect this, or you have 2,000 viruses, and they craft them to look like a real security product, like a Norton or a McAfee or one of the big ones, or a Windows security alert. They'll use the same colors or a similar shield. So if you've got something like that and you didn't install it, you're infected that way. A lot of them will be in the background, like we were saying earlier, and they won't let you know you're infected. The only real way is do a scan with whatever security product you've got. I've got several that I use, and I've got some even I can scan before, if we're talking Windows, obviously Microsoft Windows, I can scan before it even starts. So if there is something in there changing the operating system behavior so it covers its tracks, I could usually find them beforehand. The other way you might know is if you're getting a lot of returned email, possibly, and your computer's being used as a spam bot or whatever, automatic robot that's sending out spam. You've been infected that way. I think just general slowness. If things are just taking longer to start up, and that's why I really stress you need to have some kind of security product on your Windows computers. I run into people once in a while that don't have any, they don't realize it, or it's expired. So, check your security program, open it up and look at it. See if it's up to date.
And I'll say something, but I think it's necessary when you buy an electronic device that you have someone that you can trust that can take care of that computer or that piece of equipment when you have a problem with it. And don't just go out and blindly use your computer equipment, but do have someone that's on your team to repair that or to remove infestations that you've got. Someone like Shane, or there are a whole lot of reputable folks out there that you might trust, and I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, there was something else relating to what you were saying. If you've got a Windows computer, go into your control panel and look under Add Remove Programs or Programs itself, and you can look in there and see what's actually installed on your computer, what programs, and you can sort it by date, which is really helpful.
We have learned way too much here. If you have more questions, I suggest you talk to your professional. Thank you, Shane, for being on the program. Thank you all for watching. I'm John Dickmeyer, and this has been Potpourri.
Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne. the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating